What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sphere Adventures Guild. My name is Dave, and I'm hosting House of Eidolons with my friends here. We've accomplished a mission. We're gonna get into some planning for the next one. I'm so excited to see what our game master Penburrow throws at us tonight. Thank you all for joining us, either live or in the future, because we post all these on our YouTube page. So if you are interested in checking that out, please do go over to our YouTube page. We're going to introduce the players here in a second, but I wanted to make sure that I made a few quick announcements. We have a bunch of stuff coming up here in the next couple weeks on Guild Superior, not the least of which is a Call of Cthulhu 2-shot that's starting next Tuesday. So looking very much forward to that. MJ Russell is coming back. Molly's going to be running a game for us, and we've got an awesome cast of characters, including Gabe Greenspan, whatchamacallum, Jack, myself, ya boy Big. It's going to be absolutely off the hook. 1920s, think sort of like Murder on the Orient Express and Lovecraft. It's going to be great. So come back for that on Tuesday. We'll be back here, of course, next Wednesday for the House of Eidolons, implementing the plans that we come up with. And then shortly thereafter, I think the following weekend, we have part 1 of a 2-shot of the Giants of Greyhawk, where all the players are going to be playing Giants. So that's going to be really fun. Looking forward to that. And just lots of stuff coming up after that. So stick around, follow us on the socials to get more information on that. And the only other thing that I wanted to make sure that I mention is I'm going to put a link in the chat here. We are promoting or supporting, I guess would be a better way to put it, the Red Cross efforts to help to support people who are in need in California, who are suffering because of the wildfires. There's help is still needed. So if you have the ability to donate, even $5 is super helpful. And if you don't, that's all right too. Maybe just help by spreading the word, raising awareness, and maybe sharing that link with people so that they see an opportunity to make a difference. So with that said, I guess we can go around the table and have folks introduce themselves, and then we'll come to you, Paul, at the end, and you can kick us off as per usual. I guess we'll start with Josh tonight.
Hey guys, my name's Josh. I'm playing Corvo in a House of Eidolons game. I'm a huge geek and a narrative addict. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to jumping in. So I'm going to wrap that up.
Thank you, Josh. Glad that you are here, my friend. Great to see you again. And let's jump over next to JD. Welcome back, JD.
Thanks, Dave. I'm JD. I am thrilled again to be here and see what we get up to this time and what chaotic plans we come up with to navigate this next mission. I'm playing Octavius, and he's got a few, little enhancements after a job well done last time. So we'll see what chaos that brings.
Oh yeah, lots of it, I imagine. After what we saw last week, I think so. Also, some clutch moves to call off the authorities when we were in a dire point of the mission. So awesome stuff. And then let's jump over to Tara. Welcome back, Tara.
Hello, everybody. I'm playing Oaken May. I also have 2 pet familiars that I'll be playing too because they're mine. I am excited to be here. If you guys need to get a hold of me at all, you can find me your Nomi too, anywhere on socials.
Hell yeah. Thank you for being here. Oaken is displayed some serious badassery last week, so I'm excited to see what happens. And now with the squirrel, I mean, anything could happen at this point. I will mention real quick that I am playing Wyvern, a net diver, and I gotta say I'm having a blast with the net diver. So whenever you pick up your copy of House of Eidolons, play a net diver. They're cool. And I will actually put a link to the website so you can go check out the House of Eidolons content. And I'm going to toss it over to our GM, Penburrow, a.k.a. Paul. Paul, welcome back. Thank you so much for bringing this game. I should also mention that Josh, who's producing. Hi, Josh. Thank you so much for for the creativity that you put into this system, the two of you. And Paul, please tell us about yourself and what we've got going on tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Welcome everybody to House of Eidolons. Yes, excited to be here. I'm one of the co-authors of House of Eidolons and the GM of it in this stream and all other streams. So very excited to be jumping into mission 2. So for tonight, there won't be any exposition, but just a recap of what took place. So our team from the House of Weeping is taking on a contract. They have to deliver a single little microdrive to the core processor of a new R&D facility from one of the mega corporations known as Samsara Medical. Now, in order to do that, they need to complete kind of 2 missions preemptively. One, they needed to secure the schematics to the R&D facility, which is a black site, and thus the schematics were extremely hard to find. That was mission 1. So our team got to it in Berlin, infiltrating Helmont architecture inside of the Grossheisen Tower, and they did a smashingly good job. Smashing came later. At first, it was all subterfuge, thanks to Octavius, some dancing and flirting on Gideon's part, and they navigated their way in. Octavius took the face of the manager. They got up to the floor. They found the schematics. Wyvern hacked them in. And it was at that moment when they secured the schematics, their client, the one who hired them, the infamous Net Zero, who hired them to do this entire mission, appeared, deactivated his active camouflage, and tried to warn them to stop doing the mission. Knowing that security was on its way, though, they rushed out into the hallway. Octavius, seeing at the last moment, Net Zero draws his gun and shoots himself, killing himself, or so it's presumed, in the tower. So now our team, they secured the schematics. They took out Warsaw, the Apex security, head of security, which was a secondary objective. And at the very last minute, Gideon pulled off some serious cowboy stuff and ran into the last room with a final hack, secured the cuboid schematics to the core server processor, which was only there for a limited time, and then busted out the window and grappled his way out. Octavius quickly thought of calling the police off as the manager, so they avoided further confrontation with law enforcement, and Corvo and Oaken just pretty much opened up a can of whoop ass and took out the security team in Warsaw very, very well. So we're going to start this episode slightly before mission 2 gets underway. I know that there was some conversation around wanting to do just a little bit of research before we jump in. So Wyvern, why don't we start with you wanting to look into Net Zero? You're muted.
That's me. Yeah, so like I'm super curious and concerned, obviously, about what we saw, whether or not it was real, the message that was being delivered to us, whether or not there was an actual suicide of Net Zero. I mean, Net Zero is a famous net diver, happens to be the person that supposedly hired us to do the job, and then is suddenly there while we're in the middle of the job telling us to call it off, which, you know, obviously we're not going to do because we're going to make that bread. So I guess what I would like to do is, if possible, I would like to do some stealthy scouring of the information infrastructure to find out, and I'm talking like the darkest of the dark web type stuff, to try to find out if I can figure out what if Net Zero is still active, if there's any murmur of them going dark. And then if needed, I might leverage my contact with the derelict throne, Malachi, to see if there's an opportunity to confirm, or even if we don't confirm, at least gather some sort of intel.
Sounds good. Why don't you go ahead and make a net diving check as you scour Omni-N for the darkest recesses of Omni-N, looking for information.
All right. Happily. Okay. 19 total.
19, very good. Now Net Zero, before this mission was assigned, Net Zero had been actually relatively dark for a very long time. So in your searching, you don't find a heck of a lot, like talking on forums or anything like that, since Net Zero, like there was already kind of questions around, is Net Zero even still alive before you received the contract. However, also in your scouring, you decide to jump back, kind of do some digging into on the premises, looking back through some of like the logs and stuff like that on the premises, and you can't get any confirmation if he's really dead or not, though. I mean, you have been able to pull some footage of his body and quite a good deal of blood on the floor through that same camera you had looked through before. The other thing that shows up again is in analysis of sort of the underlying coding in that area. You find kind of repeated over and over in different random places the name Tartarus.
Mm-hmm.
Still not sure what that means.
Okay. The only other thing that and I would probably voice this to my companions, yeah, he totally would, is like, like how certain are we that Net Zero was even the one who hired us? I'm just going to throw this out there, guys. I mean, we don't know nothing. The house tells us one thing and we believe it because we have no reason to doubt them, but this is really fucking weird. And I think we should play our cards close to our chest as we move forward. Just saying. And I'm a little paranoid, but I'm just saying.
Oaken would look over at Wyvern and be like, did we get paid?
We got paid.
Okay, then what does it matter? We just did the job. We don't need to worry about it.
I mean, you make a strong point, but I just can't let it go. I mean, that was too weird. What changed?
I mean, Corvo would sort of, without even really looking up, just sitting nursing a beer. He's like, in fairness, there's also no evidence to suggest that he actually was who he said he was.
Corvo has a good point.
So
This
we
could have been a
running
distraction.
around. We could keep running around in circles if we really want to, discussing the possibilities of things that we will never be able to prove, or we could move on.
I mean, we have no other choice than to move on. I'm just saying, let's just move on with some caution.
Wyvern,
Yeah.
did you still want to reach out to your contact, or do you feel sufficient, having seen the footage of his body, do you feel sufficient in what information you were able to gather?
I'm gonna hold off for now. I might change my mind
Okay.
depending on how things progress tonight. But I think the conversation, hearing the thoughts of his team members, he's gonna kind of let it simmer a little bit before he digs too much deeper. But I will say this: internally, Wyvern is he's about 80-20 that there's some sort of a setup going on. And that might slip out at times when he's talking, just kind of like little hints at that mentality, but he's gonna let it simmer.
All right. Some time passes. You guys are at the House of Weeping Gamora, sitting on the nice furnished chairs, the kind of decadent, lavish red carpeting and curtains. Cigar smoke hangs in the air. And Vaudeville finally enters in. You've been, of course, helping yourself to the bar, as is only your right as part of the house. Vaudeville comes in looking proper as ever in his vest and his rolled-up sleeves, and he approaches the team. Good evening, Eidolons. I hope you have all rested well after the smashing success of your last mission. Now, I'm sure you may be a bit confused that I have called you all back to continue the contract. With the client dead, what purpose could there be to continue the mission, and what reward could come from it? That would be a fair question. And the answer is this. With Net Zero's bizarre and untimely demise, the House had all but tossed the mission in the bin. But then we received word from a third party. A party who claimed they had hired Net Zero to secure an Eidolon team for this contract. Yes, they even provided detailed accounts that removed any shadow of doubt that indeed Net Zero was hired by this individual. You see, this client would very much like to see the mission move forward and assure us nothing has changed other than another level of anonymity removed from the client. The mission remains the same, the reward the same. So we as professionals continue on until the job is complete. So let us get down to it and pick up where we had left off. With the schematics to the R&D facility secured, we have only to remove or reduce the threat of the Apex security team slated to operate the facility. Thankfully, and due to your excellent execution of the last mission, the security team is down one very skilled officer, the one they called Deimos, who has been reassigned to the Grossheisen Tower to replace his mentor, Warsaw. Now only 4 Apex agents remain and must be dealt with. Due to the team's constant rotation of assignments, there's little time to catch the Apex team off guard or separate it. That, and we are quickly running out of time to eliminate them before they depart for the R&D facility. So we must make use of their current assignment and the few promising opportunities it will present. You see, the Apex team has been assigned as a protective detail for the soon-to-be-named CEO of Neo Codex, Harper Kane. Harper Kane is a relative nobody within the elite of the world, so it has come as some surprise that he is slated to take on that position. Nevertheless, the Apex team will be tightly monitoring and protecting Mr. Kane, but this is where you will need to strike them. It is critical to note that the client has emphasized that it is imperative that Mr. Kane not be harmed. Now for the good part. Mr. Kane has been honored with a single ticket to the luxury bullet train known as the Silk Road. The Silk Road is a high-speed rail that runs along the old Silk Road of antiquity. Only the ultra-wealthy can afford such a ride, and even then the ride is booked out for months or even years ahead of time. This, of course, only increases its exclusivity and appeal to the upper crust. Regardless, despite how it might sound, this may be the best opportunity to strike. Yes, Eidolons, you will be conducting a good old-fashioned train heist. As the Silk Road passes through the mountains of Kazakhstan, it must go through a long tunnel system. This tunnel effectively air gaps the entire train for the 2-minute duration it takes to pass through. During this time, it simply does not matter how much trace is built up, since nothing can read the train while it's in the tunnel, and no communications can go in or out. So, my strongest suggestion is to board the train via high-speed hovercraft just before it enters the tunnel system. Find and eliminate all members of the Apex team, and prepare to depart swiftly after the train exits the tunnel and before the authorities have time to arrive. Now, before you ask any questions, there are 2 final important details. Firstly, the House will gladly provide a high-speed stealth hovercraft and a pilot to drop you off and pick you up on either side of the tunnel. Second, the new client has been generous to provide you all with a high-detail sync sim of the Silk Road train. He lays 5 sync sims onto the table. It's just a little device you can sync to, like you would cognitively sync to other individuals, except it is a recording of somebody's cognition that then you basically become immersed in as if it's your reality. From it, you will be able to get a high detail layout and expectation of the train's interior. And thirdly, it appears that the core server schematics you deftly secured in your last mission has an extremely unique sequence encryption. We nor the client possess the correct machinery to decode the information. Fortunately, the client has informed us that amongst Harper Kane's belongings is one of the freight cars is an encryption mapping processor, capable of cracking the cube and revealing the detailed schematics to the core processor. This is not your main objective, but without cracking the cube, only partial information will be able to be gleaned from the cube. So you are strongly encouraged to attempt completion of this objective. Fourth and finally, the civilians on this train are very wealthy, and wealth means power. Though it is acceptable to the client for civilians to die, it is strongly discouraged, and for every bystander that does, the team will be docked 500 crypt from their final pay. So if things get bloody, I suggest accuracy over ordnance. Okay, are there any questions?
Corvo, did you hear that last bit about the accuracy versus the ordnance, the boom?
Remind me how many people you took out on the last one, Wyvern?
Half a dozen, maybe?
Half a dozen, was it? Now, was that taking them off the board entirely, or was that just shutting down their audio visual and making them see weird shit?
I mean, if we're going to be comparing body counts, we can do that. I don't know if that's necessarily constructive. I'm just trying to, emphasize Vaudeville's point. And we need all the crypt we can get, all right?
I haven't missed yet.
Any questions for me? Otherwise, I can provide you with a slight analysis of the 4 Apex security offices.
Is the speed train run by an actual conductor, or is it something that is done computer-wise?
The answer is both.
Okay.
And then some. It actually has 4 operators, 2 in the frontmost engine and 2 in the rearmost, as well as they are aided by a sophisticated AI system. Several redundancies to make sure the valuable cargo is not harmed.
So, Vaudeville, question, clarification perhaps. We're to board the bullet train. We are to take out the Apex personnel as our primary objective. Kane is not to be harmed. Well, Kane is not to be killed, or Kane is not to be harmed. That was one clarification I wanted to just...
The sense, though it wasn't specified by the client, the sense I got was 0 harm to Mr. Kane.
Physical. Okay. Well, and then not killing any of the civilians. I get that. And then there's this device. Could you tell us more about this cube?
Yes, the core server schematics you picked up was encoded onto a strange encryption device. It is both a physical sequencing mixed with encryption, which requires quite a unique machine, which I'm not quite sure how the client knows, but they know that Mr. Kane so happens to have the correct device to decode this cube.
And he will have that on him, presumably.
Not on his person, but with his other stored belongings in the freight section of the train.
Got it.
I have a question, Vaudeville, actually. the entirety of the passenger capacity on the train is all what's bigwigs or the wealthy klets kind of thing, right?
That's correct. It is.
To what degree of sort of sound dampening internally? How much information do we have about the interior structure of the train?
That's an excellent question. I am not 100% certain on that. It would be something I might suggest you research. I would perhaps take a look at the sync sims. You will have a full sensory cognition through the sync sim, although you'll be limited in your capabilities through it. But it might be worth investigating or reaching out to contacts to find out more specificity on the type of train cars that would be used and soundproofing and other security apparatus.
Grand. Will do.
What do you think, Octavius?
Well, you know, I've been a little distracted in vaudeville. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding this correctly. So I found myself a little bit perturbed by what you had said at the beginning about the fact that this new person has come through indicating that they hired Net Zero to be their intermediary, it sounds like. What made them decide to reveal themselves at this point if they used an intermediary before?
I agree with you. I am not quite sure their full intention or reasoning behind it. To be honest, this client we have not even met in person in any way, shape, or form. The client simply notified us through direct messaging, provided us quite a bit of video feed showing the actual discourse and contracting of Net Zero by the client. And most importantly, the client is willing to back up every ounce of the reward for this contract. So we see no reason as a house to otherwise not move forward.
I mean, if you
Of
trust
course.
them, then
Vaudeville,
we
I have a
should trust
question.
as well, right, guys?
Well, I have a question just on that particular matter. The house is willing to continue with the contract. Grand. Is the house averse to us investigating this new client? Because to my mind, and feel free to point me in the right direction, but to my mind, anonymity costs a little more than we've been charging them so far.
It's not a fair request, unfair request. And
I'm
due
not
to
saying the
the
house has to look for them. I'm just saying, would the house be unhappy if we found out who they were?
Certainly, and usually I would respond, of course, the house keeps client confidentiality top. However, due to the unusual circumstances, if you do find time and capability to investigate, just to ensure that everything is above board, I think this time the house would possibly consider an exception.
Do you have records of the communications that they've had with your network that we could perhaps just take a look at? Forensically, of course.
Yes, but you'll have to give me a little bit of time. I'll need to get clearance from higher-ups within the house to allow that information. But again, I'm certain that they will oblige.
And what does this client call themselves?
That, unfortunately, I cannot reveal at this time. If I get permission, I can provide that information.
Bobby, of course. We would never want to put you in a compromising situation. We
No,
respect
I think
the
Wyvern,
discretion.
you had a good question, Wyvern. I mean, so many of us have chosen names and aliases that we use. It could have been a simple thing if this person used one of those as a way to keep themselves hidden.
course. Of course.
Right, the tricky thing with all of our clients is that even with the house, they do not come always so upfront. Again, usually that doesn't come into conflict, and when it does, the house is usually swift with punishing such activity. One of the great benefits of working for the house is your own protection.
Yeah, and the last thing that we would want to do is jeopardize this mission or the payment to the house or anything with us digging around, so to speak. But, you know, we have ways of sort of putting out some feelers, and if that's valuable to the house, we could probably arrange a side contract, perhaps, to help gather some additional intel for the house, and provide some additional value. I mean, we are a quite capable team, as you have seen, of course.
Certainly. And as just a little tip, this client clearly knows a great deal about the mission, knows about Mr. Kane having a device to decode the encryption device you found. He knows perhaps a disturbing amount of information. When you're on mission, it might be worth doing a little bit of extra exploration if you find the time within the train. You could possibly be able to find fingerprints. I mean, certainly he's in possession of a SyncSim walkthrough of the entire bullet train itself. This is one prepared individual. So, keep an eye out. Perhaps there is something on the train that could provide additional clues as to authentic identity.
They certainly are well informed. I mean, just the fact that they know that we happened to obtain this device, they certainly have a network of intelligence.
Octavius, not that you're even prompting it, but you also have pheromones. Can you just make a charisma check for me?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Uh, 27.
27. All right. Nice.
Damn.
Vaudeville kind of leans nearby you, Octavius, and he's like, now this is breaking a little bit of my professionality, but I have a running theory. I think whoever this individual is perhaps was the one who caused a bit of a ruckus in the Grossheisen Tower omni-submersion architecture. That's my running theory, is that perhaps they went in beforehand and set up some amount of surveillance to monitor on their own accord what took place. Again, this is unusual, if I'm correct, this is unusual behavior for a client, so that's why I think you will be granted the permission to investigate further as you conduct the mission. But again, I simply need to get my superiors to okay it first.
Of course, Vaudeville, we would never ask you to break protocol, and that secret of your thoughts is safe with us.
Very much appreciated. Now, I will send over the mission debrief to you all. You can take a look at it. The primary objective, the reward is 1,500 per agent killed, for a grand total of 6,000 if you take out all of the Apex security officers. There's 2 influence per head as well, and for every 2 agents that you eliminate, you will receive an additional class point. Not to mention, this will have impact on your mission 3, on the actual execution. For each agent that you don't take out, they will be present on site at Samsara Medical, and usually, and likely, very backed up by a whole heck of a lot of security apparatus. Secondly, you're being offered 2,500 to keep safe Harper Kane, to not be harmed.
Physically.
And you keep saying that, Wyvern.
Well, I mean, just I want to make sure that we're all, on the same page.
I do actually have a question about that one, Vaudeville. The idea of harm is one that covers a great deal of ground. Now, as it goes, I feel like it's relatively well understood that he needs to survive, right? That's a given. But if he were to, say, receive some mild abrasions, would that necessarily undercut the contract?
I suppose it matters very much what you mean by mild abrasions. A scuffed knee, I doubt, would be much of an issue. A missing knee, on the other hand, could mean possibly harm. I'm assuming that anything that is going to cost Mr. Kane, certainly psychological trauma-wise, will be problematic. That's not me saying if you need to kill one of the Apex security officers in front of Mr. Kane, I'm sure that's fine. Most of these elite are sociopaths anyways, don't care much for other individuals. However, his personal being should be relatively unscathed. And that goes for, he shouldn't show up in a comatose state or slated, Wyvern.
Understood. I'm just saying we protect the physical well-being of this individual. If they need to spend a little bit extra time with their therapist after this, that's okay.
Wyvern, I think
Again.
you need to get back in your box, mate. Let the adults talk.
Finally, I'll let you discern what is harmed or not harmed, but again, I emphasize the client was pretty emphatic that no harm come to him. So, faulting on the side of less harm versus more harm is my utmost suggestion. Finally, your tertiary objective of getting the cube, though not worth much, 1,000 crypt, will mean a fully exposed core server for the delivery. It could expedite much of the process when you do arrive at the core server to getting the microdrive installed correctly. So, if you have the time and the capabilities, I suggest you do that.
Very well. Oh,
Did you have a
one
question, Oaken?
Yes,
Oh,
I did.
Go ahead.
I was wondering at the end of the tunnel, how, if the train was to make its next stop, how far are the authorities, if they got the heads up at the end of the tunnel, would we have to get to that first stop?
That is an excellent question. I cannot say for sure. Local law enforcement would likely be relatively slow. But we are talking about a train of ultra-wealthy individuals. And we're talking about the elimination of 4 Apex security officers in said train. Now, I'm not saying perhaps you can take them all out without raising any suspicion or influencing the patrons of the train. But assuming you do, I have no doubt in my mind that Talos Judicial will be quickly on their way, and they show up very quickly.
That makes me nervous when you say those 2 words. Oh.
So my suggestion is, if for whatever reason you cannot get onto the hovercraft after the other side of the tunnel, if the mission's not done and you need to drag it on, do so knowing it will be rather intense thereafter, and the hovercraft will not wait around, which might mean finding alternative means off of the train.
Vaudeville, do you know the layout of the Omni nodes within the train? Are they under a single node? Is it multiple? How does that? Do we know anything about that?
Wyvern, I promise you, you know very much more about submersion than I would possibly know. I suggest, if any of you have a contact who might be able to do some poking around, that's certainly a good possibility. See if
It'd
they
be nice
can't
to
pull
know.
up the schematics of the Omni architecture of the train itself.
That would be prudent for sure.
But yes, the sync sim is only a walkthrough of the real train. No Omni infrastructure is accessed.
Does the sync sim have also something that can show us what the box looks like?
I would highly doubt it, but until you use the sync sim, I have not utilized it. The client was providing it to you, the team.
Got it.
My guess is that the sync sim is from a time before anybody has boarded the train, perhaps at the time of its before going live. It was a walkthrough of its architecture just for record's sake. So likely there would be no belongings of clients on the train during the walkthrough.
What's the name of the train, Vaudeville?
The Silk Road.
That is a very sexy name for a train.
Well, you know how the wealthy like it.
I don't actually, but I hope to know that someday. That is actually an aspiration of mine, is to know how the wealthy like it.
Well, my good wyvern, if you ever show up in person, I will give you a drink that is like you would get in the highest rungs of society.
You know, I might take you up on that someday, Vaudeville.
Dude,
And speaking of
I'd
which,
love to see you.
I know
wyvern,
you would.
we are
That's why
talking-
I'm hesitating. Yes, sorry, Vaudeville, go ahead.
No. Speaking of which, we are talking about a moving train. Finding your means of being on site might be a little bit tricky. We're not talking about a static location. Something to consider.
Yeah, shit.
With that, why don't I give you a quick, brief overview, though I do suggest you reach out to contacts and see what else you can't discover about the Apex security officers. Now, these are elite officers. There is some that is known, but much that is not. They keep themselves rather confidential. The first of officers, and the leader, is one known as Crucible. What we do know about Crucible is I don't believe he has ever fired a gun. He is strictly close combat and extremely lethal at such. Not to mention, he came from military running special forces, usually stealth operations. Second, probably the one he trusts the most, is an operator known as Weaver. Weaver, like you, Wyvern, is adept with Omni-N, but unlike you, Wyvern, she has rigged herself out for pure drone control. So you can guarantee that there will be security drone apparatus on the train, able to be deployed at a moment's notice. My one suggestion is that likely where you'll find Weaver is in one of the freight cars, where drones would be stored and deployed from. She need not be anywhere else within the train. Either way, she'll be operating it with her mind cognitively synced, so should you be able to find her, she will be vulnerable. Second. Alright, third. I apologize. Third is one known as Volterra. Volterra is a bioelementalist known for breaking and breaching maneuvers. You'll need to be careful with Volterra because Volterra is known to be a little bit of a hothead, and Volterra could accidentally spike civilian casualties if not dealt with swiftly. Finally, the last and perhaps most difficult will be one known as Bishop. I know the least about Bishop, but Bishop is known very well for approaching all conflict from abstract angles. We've had reports of him using things like wall-breaching sniper rifles, while also utilizing overlay omni programming. This is a very adept, versatile agent, so be ready and be on the lookout for him as well. If anyone's going to catch you off guard, it will likely be Bishop. These are the 4 agents. Again, I suggest you reach out to contacts to see if you can't pry any more information, but that's the mission, Eidolons. If there's no further questions, then I will take my leave and go ask up the ladder to see if I can't provide you more details as well as the recordings from the client, proving they're the actual client of this mission. In the meantime, do take a look at the sync sim. It will give you a very immersive experience, something that will be much better than blueprints of the train. Take care, Eidolons. I will be back in some time.
Thanks, Vaudeville.
He nods and heads out.
Before you upload those sync sims, I think it's prudent that we scan them just to be safe that there's no sort of malware associated with these things. I might be a little paranoid right now, okay? But just humor me.
I was thinking the same, Vern.
Oh, thank you. God, yeah. Sometimes, it gets a little tough. The trust thing.
So, Ivan, you're gonna run a scan of them?
Yeah, I'd like to scan them just to make sure that there's nothing, there's no malware or anything that's dangerous about utilizing this information.
I know your Digidama has it. Do you have a detector?
I do not. That's a sweep. I do not have that.
Sweep detector. Okay. Otherwise, you can use a net diving program. You can use a net diving skill.
Yeah. Let me just double check here to see if there's anything else that I have that could maybe. Yeah, that's probably the best one. Just go for a net dive roll. That's not so good. That's 12.
Okay. On a 12, you know this. These sync sim are actually extremely high tech. The sync sim is extremely expensive. So this is probably not a terribly dated sync sim. So the idea of it being during the construction or pre-use of the train is probably not valid. So wherever the sync sim came from, it probably came recently because this is state-of-the-art sync sim tech. Second, Wyvern, you don't detect any bad programming. However, the encryption on these and the storage capacities of these sync sim are a little astounding. Whoever coded this sync sim is a true master of program design.
No indication of any danger though by utilizing. Okay. I think they're clean, man. This is some pretty high-end technology. I'm actually rather excited to see what's inside.
Just before we do jump in, Wyvern, I have a question. Have you got anything in your little bag of tricks that might be able to keep anyone from listening in while we're in there? I'm thinking something like a cone of silence or whatever that we can drop here while we're in the sync sim so that no internal information gets out, so that we can't be overheard in any fashion while we're in there.
That's a good question. Is this connected to the Omni-N, these sync sims? Is that how, or are they discrete? They're connected. Everything's connected.
Yeah. I will say this, Wyvern, you do know this is one of the 7 great houses and the headquarters of Weeping Gamora. Likely, it would be a very rare day that you guys would be in a vulnerable place. inside
so
of this.
just being here is a better security and for secrecy than anything that I could possibly do.
Very
So
likely.
I think that we dive into these simulators here before we leave, and I think that's our safest bet. But
yeah,
I do
if you
share
dove
your
into them
concern.
outside of the house, there would be a much higher chance if somebody was using them as surveillance that they would be compromised. So yeah, using them in the house is probably your safest space. Either that or in the halls of Central Judicial, but I don't think you guys want to go hang out there. So
No, but I do have a program that I think if we wanted to make ourselves visible to prying eyes, that perhaps I could use a program to backtrack those prying eyes to wherever they may be located. So in the future, if that's something that we would want to do to maybe set up a little bit of a trap, that's something that we could try. I haven't done that before, but I would love to give it a try when the time is right.
Just as you see. Shall we then?
all right, you guys gonna sync?
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right. Give me 1 second. Make sure the right map. It's all set up correctly here. Activate. Now this map is going to be very long. You're going to go to the far left side if you don't start there. But you all should have the ability to see now. Maybe. 1 second. Oh, no. 1 second. Here we go. For some reason, it didn't save it. Can you guys see? Got a yes?
No.
No? No?
I mean, I can see something. I just can't see me.
No, yeah, it won't be you. Yep, it will be the person who is the sync sim. So you see a guy, right? Yeah, right here? No?
No.
Yes, I see a guy there.
Let's see here. Configure ownership. Yeah, everybody should have observer. Tara, you might be somewhere else on the map. Yeah, go right, Tara.
Okay. Oh, there. Hey.
There
yeah.
you are. Yep. All right. You guys find yourself standing, looking through the eyes of somebody else. And first, they rotate around. You see the apparatus here looks like the room. Sorry, the room behind him is the engine room. So you're in the engine car at this moment. Behind him, it looks like this is a security scanning device, likely scanning permissions and other things like that to make sure that anyone who's not authorized can't come through the hallways in towards the engine. He just pokes his head in the engine. You see 2 vacant conductor chairs inside, and then a table with different routes and stuff like that projected on the overlay. You guys can tell me if you want me to pause in any one area. Otherwise, you're basically just riding a sync sim. The doors to your left, these lead outside of the train. So the north and south doors, then as you pass them, will all lead out of the train. He crosses into the passenger train. So this one looks like just simple seating, mass seating of individuals, and judging by it, this train is going to be carrying quite a number of individuals. There's also a device here which looks to be kind of the ticketing thing. So anyone who enters in from the side doors at stations would be scanned and confirmed to either have permission to be on this train or not. As he walks, he turns and takes specific note of this desk. This seems to be a sort of security officer's desk. As well as behind them, there's a stairway that leads up to a roof hatch of the passenger train. You saw no such thing in the engine room, but in the passenger train, there is a portal that leads up onto the top of the train. He crosses into the next train. Now this one seems to be rows and rows of cabins. He does open up and peek inside of the bathroom, steps out, walks into one of the cabins. The pods behind are sleeping pods, and then there's a couch and a little table, views of the outside through the window. As he passes through the mid of the car, you see again another stairway or ladder leading to a hatch, this time in the mid of the car. So the cabin car has a hatch halfway through. Otherwise, it's just cabin after cabin after cabin. He crosses over into the freight car. He walks over, sets his hand onto the control pad, which opens up the door, and he walks into a sort of logistics office for the freight, and he takes a look through the window into the freight storage capacity. It's filled with different bulk cargo, stacks of people's luggage, that sort of thing. He then leaves, the door locks, and he continues down the passage. And it looks like for the freight, pedestrians can use the freight area to move between cars, but there's clear direction and signage on the ground, no access. He then goes and opens up the main door, and it slides open, takes a minute, and he steps into the cargo room. Just a little bit, not terribly much, but you generally get a sense of larger cargo kept further to the south side of the car, and then more smaller personal belongings to the north side.
So, Paul, does it appear as though this is more than just personal cargo storage? There are other things that are being transported upon here?
Yes, though it's not very clear. I mean, this is, again, a train for the ultra wealthy. So it's not clear who all is utilizing this car or this train, what for, and what kind of belongings they might take it because they're moving, literally their entire estate. And they want to take a scenic kind of vacation, essentially. Or, many of the ultra elite are with corporations, and so it is feasible that corporations might use the train as an extra layer of security and kind of not suspected as a means of moving potentially more important cargo. For example, at least from this view, you can notice that these pods over here seem to be environmental pods, which means they have a self-contained essentially life support, air, temperature, whatever. So if there's something being transported, it could be animal, livestock, it could be people, corporate assets, who knows? But that's what those sort of cars would be used for. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different things, but not like none of it strikes you as just pure freight for, say, like bulk moving. It all seems like it all has very specific intention. The door closes and locks, and he continues onward, moving then into the next car. Again, another passenger, mass passenger train car. From there, he passes on into yet another freight car. So far it seems like 2 freight cars, 2 passenger cars, and a cabin. Plus the engine. And then he finally moves in to the rear engine, which is the same as the former any questions? Anywhere you want to rewind the footage to, or take special note of, or are you guys good?
I want to know who has if what kind of access that I saw was the handprint to get in and out of doors. Do we have a list of people who can get in and out of those doors?
Not currently, but could you have a list?
Okay.
Possibly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, even a passenger list might be something that would be very good for us to have, so we know
Yep.
exactly who's aboard this thing.
That was
JD's
vital.
like, JD's especially like, yes. Which passenger is not gonna make their trip?
Correct. I have a plan brewing.
Interesting. So do I. I think we might have slightly different approaches, though.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. There's
I
no-
will
there's-
note one last thing to note is that in the cargo in the freight car, he does look up and there's a large what looks like could lower a large almost like mass container down through the roof of the freight, so they could anchor in freight down into the car, and that seems to be the main way that they load the freight. Otherwise, you don't see any doors on the side of the car leading out. The walls all seem rather reinforced, so the freight car seems extremely reinforced. And it seems that other than through the other passenger cars, the only other access point is a large freight loading hatch on the roof of the car.
And I was just going to clarify, there's no second story. Those hatches just go up to the roof.
Correct. Yeah, this is a bullet train. It's pretty sleek, so it's single story.
Got it.
I have a question, or
Yep.
more accurately, Corvo has a question, or something that he wanted clarified. What was the nature of the doors? In that, like, were they sliding pocket doors that were automated, or what was?
Yeah.
What was the...
So with any of the doors moving between the cars, they were automated sliding doors.
Okay.
Although it does look like there's a handle on them, so they could be locked, like in case of emergencies or whatever. It looks like they could be locked. They're glass. They're tinted glass. But Corvo, why don't you go ahead and give me a civics check? This is related to military.
I might use one of my edge dice there. That's a little better. That's an 8.
8. Corvo, you're not 100% sure, but based on your experience, this seems like this glass is likely highly durable material. Probably going to repel bullets. Probably not explosions, and certainly armor-piercing stuff would likely go through it. But a typical just normal firearm round, and probably quite a great deal of melee or martial weaponry would do very little to the glass. And you seem to think that is probably true of the passenger glass as well, on all these sliding doors. All of the doors, so right now we're in the cabin car. All of the doors in the cabin are not made of this glass. They seem to be a fairly fortified door, though made to look quite fancy. And all of them have like a small little thumbprint reader at the top of the handle that is likely sequenced to whoever is occupying that.
Sure. And my question is, how do those doors move when they are open? Are they a solid?
They look like
are they
they
a
slide.
solid panel that just shifts away, or is it like an iris that like clips away, much like an insect wing? Like, what's the?
Yeah.
what's
Yep.
the
So
design?
once you hit the button, it looks like the door slides to the side. All of the doors on the train seem to be sliding doors.
Okay, so they're all like pocket doors. Got it. Cool.
Yep.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Can we take a closer look, or get information about these red squares that are right in the front engine and rear engine?
Again, that would likely be reaching out to a contact around the actual security parameters. Same with like the soundproofing, like how soundproof are these cars.
Okay.
But the security apparatus in the engines you're talking about that are creating the red grids, yeah, they seem rather high tech, as well as the ticketing mechanisms that are sweeping the car, validating identities, seem fairly high tech. If you'd like, when you can rewind back to the footage, so and zips over. Anyone can go ahead and make an awareness check of the actual device to see any details they would like to try and pick up on.
I'll definitely do it.
Yep.
Me too.
10.
I would as well. 23.
Oh, nice.
JD.
I got 16.
In different ways. So Oaken and JD, you guys spot a familiar logo on there. It's one that you noticed because in your previous mission, you had some people with the fatigues with that logo on it. Wyvern, you immediately recognize, yeah, this is Neocodec's scanning apparatus. And unfortunately, Wyvern, you also know that means hacking them is going to be a little bit more difficult, because Neocodex doesn't really skimp on the software front of things. Octavius, the other thing you notice is that these sweeps are likely assigned to the passenger registry, but are likely still picking up on some form of biometric read. You're guessing probably some sort of combination of like an overall like body type analysis, and then also combined with retinal scanning. There is a component of it that you assume might also be pushing at EMS reading, but hard to say. And how robust that is, yeah.
Octavius says this to all of you, so we all have this information.
Perfect. Yeah. Dave, sorry, you're muted.
Yes, I am. I just said interesting. We've got our work cut out for us in some significant planning efforts, and I'm curious to find out what you all would like to do. I have some thoughts myself, but
Ditto.
Within
Yeah.
the sync sim, do we have any indication of like what the window of time we have in the tunnel is going to be?
In the debrief, it's roughly 2 minutes. So assuming that in gameplay time, every round is 6 seconds. So you've got roughly 20 rounds of activity from start of tunnel to after. Now, boarding the train doesn't have to happen right at the tunnel, right? You could theoretically board somewhat before, or depending on your approach, maybe long before. But as far as execution time, it's about a 20 turn window.
unless, and I'm just going to throw this out there, unless we can take control of the train, slowing it down and or stopping it in the tunnel.
Hmm.
But didn't he say
I,
that we wouldn't be able to do anything electronically in the tunnel because there's no signal?
No, we will, but there will be no communications outside of the tunnel to external sources.
It's
or
all
receivers.
isolated.
Yeah. So
Got
what
The
happens in
the
the
point
tunnel
being made
stays in the
there.
tunnel.
The point being made there was that Wyvern needed to be with us in the flesh
Oh yes, yeah.
because he can't pipe in.
Not a problem. I'll figure something out, Corvo. But I appreciate your concern for me.
Concern's the word for it. Absolutely.
That's the one we'll
So-
use.
Here's my thinking.
Okay.
If we go for a high speed insertion, get on the back end of the train, and immediately basically do a sweep and clear front to back. Starting at the rear of the train, ideally we'd be able to slow it down somewhat. I think Wyvern was onto something there. Whether or not it's grabbing an engineer and making him hit the brakes or put the rear engine set in the opposite direction, just to try and give us a little more time in the tunnel before they start getting signal out again. And after that, as far as I'm concerned, silencers on weapons, sweep and clear, door to door. Ideally, we'd be able to find out which cabin we're going to find what's his face. I have a plan for getting the information out of him, but I need to go and find a pharmacist who can do juice boxes. Other than that, yeah, as I say, sweep and clear, fast intensity of violent action through the train is my thought there. And then when we get to the front end, ideally, if we can, seal the train cars as we go. I've always planned for that as well. A couple of things ticking away in the back of my head. I'll have to do some shopping for it, but that's no bother. And that's what I got. We hard lock the doors behind us, sweep and clear. It'll be fast, it'll be noisy, but I'd say it'd probably be pretty effective. And it should get us out at that last passenger car with the ladder to the roof. Aye. We should be able to get out on the roof just as we clear the tunnel, jump in the hovercraft and be gone. That's what I got. I figure that, if nothing else, it's a good fallback plan because I'm up for it and I'm fairly sure Gideon will know what he's doing as well.
Where is Gideon? Out at the ranch? Or?
I heard he had to take care of some personal business, and at that point I stopped listening.
Sure. Well, just to throw this out there, as our our main objective, we're gonna take out a couple of bad guys. It'd be really nice to know, given the limitations on time, whether or not we'll be able to slow or stop the train. I'll do a little digging to see if that's a possibility. I think I've got some contacts that might be able to help with that. But if we could know ahead of time where Crucible, Weaver, Voltero, and Bishop are, that would be highly efficient. And I'm wondering if I would like to hear Octavius. I saw a twinkle in your eye when I brought up the guest or the passenger list. And I'm curious to know what you were thinking, because there might be some synergies going on here with that thought. So please, if you don't mind, what's going on inside that head of yours?
Well, it might be a little unhinged, but I agree. I think we should get the passenger list. And I would like to find someone who we can make missing. I can borrow what I need from them. And then my hope is I can board the train much earlier than the rest of you. And my goal is to get as close to Kane as possible. That way I can also get what I need from him. If this is in his luggage, I can take his biometrics and use that to get into anything that might be secured. And hopefully, in the process, I can get a sense for where our team is going to be, where those 4 might be located.
I mean, theoretically, they should be relatively close to Kane if they're there to escort him. Do you think it might be possible to plant some sort of tracking device on these 4 individuals should you fortuitously run into them? Something that would at least provide a signal internally to the train that once we're aboard, we could use to locate them quickly and deal with them quickly?
I think at least with a few of them, theoretically, it sounds like some of them may be harder to find, like Weaver or Bishop. It sounds like the 2 of them may not be as close by, but if there are any who are close by, yeah, it would not be a concern to get a tracker on them.
I will say, Octavius, that there was actually room for your specific talents in my fallback plan, because obviously it'd be nice to have a skeleton key for any of the biometric locks. So in terms of like research beforehand, a passenger list would be useful, but also the ability to have you go and shake hands with as many of the passengers as possible would be nice, just so that you've definitely got their palm print read. Was my thinking.
And if not the passengers,
we're on the same page.
One of the conductors or one of the train security, someone who's got lots of access.
I mean, when looking for access, always start at the top of the ladder, I figure.
Indeed.
Oaken has another objective that she wants to go for. And while we know what the main objective is, she has 2 animals that can help her in locating the cube. So I think Oaken should get into the freight cars and just massive search out, because I can talk to my animals and they can dig, they can fly, they can sense things that people can't. I can also dig through things because it seems like there's not a lot of people in the freight car. However, I also want to be able to help take out the 4. So I kind of agree. I totally was thinking the same thing of Octavius and a little bit of what Corvo was, because I'm not 100% sure that we can get into the freight unless I get in from the roof. So smash and grab the 4, get me into the freight rooms, we search it like mad, and then dash out. We have to have a location that we're all going to meet at if we do separate, which is cool. Any ideas?
Inside the train?
Correct, so that we can all get on the hovercraft.
I mean, I think that depends on if we use Corvos, because if we do, we're going to be closing down the sections of the train, and it's going to leave us with limited options by the end.
Right.
And it really is going to depend on where these 4 are stationed throughout the train and how long it takes us to find them if they're hiding.
Okay.
Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that odds on, eventually it's going to turn into a firefight. It has to, because we're taking down like operators, real operators, and the idea is that we want to minimize civilian casualties. That's part of the brief. So sweeping and clearing front to back, or back to front rather, so that we can square away any details in each section before we need to move forward, and then as best we can stopping the movement of anyone from carriage to carriage is only going to minimize the number of people per carriage that we have to deal with. And if we're using quiet weapons, which I'm planning to, then that means that we're less likely, not entirely unlikely, but less likely to draw heat from further up the train before we're ready to deal with it.
Could we also maybe, since Octavius is going to be changing faces and handprints, I'm concerned that Harper Kane won't come with us just because.
I've got something for that. I need to see the chem chef before we get too much further down that road. Otherwise, somebody else is going to have to do the convincing. But I have a plan.
I mean, I can be very convincing, Corvo, but I
You
think
know,
it's
it's
always
really
good to have
convincing.
multiple plans.
The fact that I can put custom brewed drugs into the spit glands in my face.
Nice.
That is convincing, correct.
100%. So I'll tell you what, I'll soften him up and you finish him off. How's that?
That sounds fair.
But the idea is to do it at pace, which is why I need to see the chem chef so that we can make sure we get something custom brewed. Because then it's already being transported. It's something that I can deploy at will, and we can just run from there.
Are we thinking that all four of them are going to be surrounding him, or do we think they're going to be spread out so that way they can... Okay. Is there assigned seating on this train? I mean, I can imagine the cabins are assigned, but the passenger cars, are we going to know exactly where each passenger is going to sit?
I think that's something for us to find out.
Okay.
Right.
Honestly, after dealing with the wealthy for years, I think what the best you'll get is a list of where they'd like them to sit and where they'll look for their bodies if the train crashes.
Yes.
We have a good image of Mr. Kane, so we'll have some level of certainty on that, unless there's a decoy, of course, which is not entirely unlikely.
Do you have something, Wyvern, that you can scan somebody to see if they're actually that person?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
if there's some sort of a cloaking program running, I can take care of that. That's not a problem.
Perfect.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, Vaudeville also said that Neocodex was the company that was taking care of some of the onboard security for the train, the systems, the ticketing systems, and some of the other aspects of internal security, not necessarily Kane's security, but the train security. Which provides us with a potential opportunity, given the fact that Neocodex also just perpetrated a colossal clusterfuck in the Grossheim Towers, and is currently probably lost a little bit of credibility in the security space. So my thought is that with a little bit of persuasion, we could get some, how shall we say, security auditors inserted into the train prior to the train's departure from the station well in advance, and insert ourselves into the programming of the ticketing security systems prior to the train ever even leaving the station.
Do we... How would we access that? Do we have anybody that we know that can get us into the train to do that?
I think I know somebody who could potentially help us in that respect.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I might have to leverage some favors, but it's possible, and it'd be wicked handy to have some of our own software already embedded in the system so that we have a little bit of control over the environment. That's my biggest concern at this point.
Okay.
with that. So it sounds like we got a plan in the fixin', but quite a few contacts to call in and reach out to. Why don't we go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to reaching out to contacts, seeing what we can get, what we can't, and how we move forward. Thanks, everybody. Stick around. We'll get on to the second part here in about 5. We're back. Hi, everybody. I was expecting Josh to say 1 there, but he did that like that movie thing.
Producers.
So we are back. It sounds like we have a plan definitely coming together, though no contacts have been reached out to as of yet. Who would like to start that train, or is there anything else that needs to be discussed beforehand?
Corvo needs to find a chem chef.
Okay.
There we go.
Are you so what you can also do is potentially spend influence to acquire a new contact? You don't have anybody who would be in the chem chef world already as a contact, correct?
Not right now. My assumption, or Corvo's assumption, would be that the house has people both internally and satellite players. And I figure the idea being that we want to keep this one as far away from the house as possible in terms of liability. So either finding someone external or using one of the distant satellite associates would be the move.
Do you have any contacts that would potentially be would have a chem chef in their circles? I don't remember all your contacts off the top of my head.
I myself do not, though I feel like perhaps acquiring a chem chef is probably a good idea in terms of...
None of your contacts are of the criminal persuasion or in syndicates?
No, my focus is mostly security and hardware.
Would anybody else have any contacts in the
I could help
criminal?
with that.
All right. Who do you have, JD?
I think I'd
Octavius,
like
I'm
to
sorry.
call I'd like to call Spectre. Spectre is my rocker and gang member.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Octavius, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. It's good. Just down here with the boys.
Causing trouble?
Always causing trouble. Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely not watching sitcoms.
You would never. And don't worry, your
Never.
secret
No,
is
that's
safe
for
with
like
me.
old ladies.
Yeah. So
What can I do
wanted
for you,
to-
man?
Yeah, I wanted to hit you up. A friend of mine trying to get in with a chem chef. Wondered if you knew anyone not reputable, because we don't deal in reputable here.
Well, Octavius, I have yet to meet a chem chef who is, of good rapport with the authorities. But yeah, so I definitely think I can find you a solid chem chef. Yeah, give me a little bit of time. I mean, what kind of grade chem chef are we looking for? Are we looking for just like a gutter chef, or are we looking for somebody who can do some pretty fine work?
Finest
What
work
would-
available.
Okay. Yeah, then Octavius definitely would repeat the finest work available.
All right, I can see what I can do. I'll get back to you. Or is there? Yeah, I'll get back to you and see what we can procure.
Sounds good.
I think I know a guy.
Okay, I knew you would. I knew if anyone would know a guy, I knew you would know a guy.
Real quick question. Is it a problem if they're associated with Red Saffron, the Syndicate?
No, I'm sure that'll be fine.
Over
they
the
make
way,
good drugs.
You hear Corvo go, honestly, it's probably better that they are.
Actually,
Alright.
we find that to be a selling point.
I'll do some asking around. I'll get back to you.
Appreciated. I owe you one.
No, it's all good. You could just not tell anybody I was watching sitcoms, and then he hangs up. All right. Anybody else want to reach out while we wait for the contact to come through? Okay, anybody you want to reach out to?
I want to see the list of people on the
Oh,
thing before I contact anybody. So, other than that, I really don't have any. I mean, I have one person in mind, but I want to make sure that I know specifically who I want to talk about. So,
okay.
You want me to try to get the list?
please.
Yeah.
Manifest.
I'll get the passenger list. No big deal.
Cool.
All right,
Paul, how do I
Wyvern,
get the passenger list? Sounds like a big
well,
deal.
well, yeah, you could try and hack it. However, we are talking about the rich and famous here, so hacking might be fairly difficult. If you have a contact who could be utilized, that's another option. Those are your two primary options in this situation.
I think I'm gonna try to hack it.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to hack it. This is what I do. I'm gonna spend some time, and I'm gonna spend a little extra time because I really want to make this work. I might even give myself a boost, as it were, to ensure that I have what it takes to break through any sort of firewalls or security measures, subtly and discreetly, of course. We don't want to leave any trail of our snooping. So
Yep.
yeah, so I will, I'm gonna go ahead and boost myself.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna hack.
Go ahead and make that hacking check.
All right.
And I will note, this is you breaking into the manifest to hack it. So on failure, this could have ramifications.
Mhm.
Versus it blowing back onto, say, a contact. It's one degree removed sort of stuff. But yes, you are boosted.
Okay,
Yeah.
Point taken, and nervousness instilled.
I just want to make sure you understand the consequences of actions here.
I appreciate that. Let me think about this for a second. I am going to I'm gonna use a couple of different techniques here.
Okay.
So in addition to the boost, which I believe, let me just double check here. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna do that, but I'm also going to use let's see. I'm gonna use the security disarm to try to make it a little bit easier, perhaps, if that's possible.
Now, disarm,
I don't know.
Breach would probably be the new program, Breach, you picked up. That's a ticking one. Disarm would simply be used if you identified some sort of security program protecting it. You could disarm that program. So you'd want to like detector, and then disarm if need be. But Breach would be probably what you want for helping hack through security.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at Breach, that's perfect. So I'm gonna use Breach. I'm gonna do the hack, and then I'm going to also I think scrub on the way out.
Sure.
Any sort of trace of what I've got going on. So I'll use those three approaches: boost, breach, and scrub. The old boost, breach, and scrub.
Yeah. So you're boosted. Go ahead and use breach, and if I'm right, breach is just user, but then every turn it increases
User plus
its
X.
value if it plus X if it doesn't break.
Yep.
Yep. So
Okay,
X is a increasing amount. I think it's +2 or +3.
+2, and they stack.
Yep.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep. For the duration, so I think it ticks for 3 turns.
3 turns. Yep.
Okay.
So in terms of rolling dice or whatever, how does this work? So I'm boosting myself so I get an extra die.
Yep.
Right. And then
you're gonna make a
I'm
hacking check.
hacking check. Okay.
Yep. And if that doesn't work because breach is on there ongoing, you would then roll again and then again for the breach duration.
Okay. And then do I roll on my scrub on the way out?
Yep, and then you would make a
Okay.
scrub check after you've infiltrated to pull the list to
Alright.
erase any sign that you were there.
So just to make sure that I really pull this off, this will be using all 4 of my cores, I believe, because I'm also gonna go sticky, so that I have.
You're gonna
boost.
sticky on the breach.
I'm gonna sticky boost.
Oh, sticky boost. Okay.
I'm gonna
sure.
sticky boost because boost only goes for 3 rounds, and I might need it longer than that. So I'm gonna sticky boost, breach, scrub.
Okay.
This is ridiculous.
That is an operation that probably just built up like 15 trace all by itself.
It's a shitload of traits, and then I'm gonna have to de-escalate like a.
Yeah.
Son of a
Well,
gun.
you got time here, so.
Yeah. Time is on my side. All right, here we go. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. 25.
25. That is the threshold on the nose. You break into the manifest. So you procure the manifest, the list of everybody who's going to be on that ride, and get that fully downloaded.
And I'm gonna UFO.
And then you get out. Go ahead and make a scrubber check.
All right. So basically, I'm scrubbing any trace that I was ever here. Not trace in capital T trace, but you know what I mean.
Yep. And how Scrubber works is you're going to make that same hacking check, but that sets the threshold if anybody's snooping, trying to see, like, has there been anybody here? If they don't meet whatever you roll, they think it's clean.
Okay. $18.
18. Okay. All right. You have the manifest, Wyvern.
Here's the manifest, Oaken.
Thank you. I need to contact Ruby, please.
Ruby. Which one is Ruby? Remind me.
She's the double agent for a high-ranking government agency.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oaken, what can I do for you?
Oh my gosh, Ruby, it's been forever.
Yes. How is the bat?
Oh, he's good. He's got a little friend now. His name is, Zip. You know Zip. Zip has got a friend named George Michael now. So we're going on a
Is
little...
it also a rodent or rodent adjacent?
Squirrel.
Oaken.
Yes.
There are other mammals
Okay.
that aren't gross and carry diseases.
Okay. I will work on that.
Please.
Ruby, I got a list here in front of me. I'm going to shove your way. Could you tell me if any of these people are specific to any government agencies or if any of them seem out of place?
How much influence are you throwing at this, Oaken?
I'm going to put 3 on her.
3? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and make that roll.
Okay.
Ooh, and I forgot to mention, from last time, you also all get to level up one of your contacts. And a leveled up contact gets, when you use them at level 2, they get an additional dice added to when you utilize them. So after each mission, you get to upgrade a single contact, and you can upgrade the same one multiple times. So you could upgrade them level 3 and level 4, and they're easier and easier to use, get bonuses to their checks. So Oaken, before you use her, are you leveling her up, or do you have a different one? Okay, perfect.
Nope.
So then go ahead and roll your 3 dice.
3 dice. 12.
Okay. She pulls up the registration and she's reading through it. Well, I can certainly tell you there are a number of government officials, certainly, on
Okay.
this manifest. I'll take a deeper dive and get back to you to see if there's anything out of place, but my goodness, Oaken, you are pulling off quite the interesting mission, aren't you?
Well, let's just say Zip and George Michael need a little bit of help, so thank you. I appreciate your time and attention to this.
All right, I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Oaken wants to call her conclave contact next.
Okay.
And he, Ernest, is level 2.
Okay.
So, yeah. Conclave.
Oaken, what can I do for you?
Hi, Ernest. I have a list here that I'm going to send your way. Can you tell me if any of them are scions that could possibly help in distraction, can help in security, can help in opening doors, things of that nature?
Yeah, I can take a look. Have you awoken yet? Any powers?
No.
You
I
should
don't.
really come by and do more training.
I forgot. Totally didn't know that I had to do that. Okay.
Yes, reminder, you need to practice it. I know you've had some jarring experiences, but it's in there, the potential, and once it's awoken, it can it can really transform your experience.
I believe it.
Yes, send the manifest over. I will take a look through and see if anybody who also is latent psionic is a part of it.
Sweet.
You want to be put in contact with them if they are.
Yes, please.
All right. He
14.
receives the manifest.
Yes.
14. You threw how many dice?
4.
4. Okay. So that's 3 influence that you spent.
Yep.
Because you get 1 for free. Okay.
Yep.
14. Okay, thank you. Any other contacts being reached out to at this time?
Not from me, no.
Nope, I'm just
Oh,
asking
okay.
around the room to see. Okay.
I'm just waiting on the chef.
On the chef, yeah. Corvo. Well, I guess it would be Octavius who gets contacted, right? Yeah.
I imagine Octavius would get the phone number.
Octavius, you get contacted back by Spectre. Is that right?
Yep.
Spectre calls you back. All right, Octavius, man, I got you somebody. He's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, who you got for me?
Yeah, they call him Chuckles. I know it's a lame name, but I think it's because he made some pretty awesome drugs. Got people laughing. Yeah. Anyways, he works for Red Saffron. He's good. He's the real deal. Certainly better than any ganger drug mixer out there. So, yeah. I mean, he's a little. He took some strings to pull. So, Corvo, I need you to reduce your influence by 5, and you now have Chuckles as a contact.
Fabulous.
And if you would like to utilize him, you may at this time.
Oh, Chuckles definitely needs to get a phone call from me. He and I have some things to talk about.
All right, you call up Chuckles. Yes, who is this?
Chuckles, Corvo, I was put in contact with you by a mutual friend of ours about potentially getting something.
That really annoying rock ganger guy. Yeah, he said he was going to put me in touch with somebody.
I'll be honest, that tracks. I believe that. Listen, I've a fairly specific custom juice box order that I wanted to put past you. That seemed like something you'd be able to help me out with.
100%. What are you looking for?
Fabulous. Basically, what I want is something that will make someone compliant and inclined to tell the truth, and calm. I need them calm. So I'm thinking something that lowers their heart rate, something that pushes them in the right direction of speaking the truth, and something that makes them pay attention when I tell them to do something.
Do you want something that also would double as enhanced torture in the off case?
The idea being that we use it before we get to the enhanced interrogation techniques, or rather instead of, so that I don't need to leave somebody scarred afterwards, but I'll still get the answers that I need.
Yeah, it sounds like I concoct something with moody compliance with a bit of Cloud9, something like that. I'll get something going. How much influence are you going to throw at this?
Like 6? No, 7.
Okay.
I'm going to throw 7 at it.
Okay, go for it.
So that is... So that's the first time I've rolled influence.
Tonight, anyways, right? Oh, influence.
no,
yeah, I guess, yeah, you didn't use contacts last time.
Nope. So run me through the influence one more time.
Essentially, what you do is you spend your influence, and for every point of influence, that's another dice that you add to the overall roll.
And that's a D6, right?
And it's a D6. Yep. So 7 would be literally 7d6. So it's gonna be a big roll unless you roll like a prodigious amount of ones.
$24.
24. Okay. Now, see, Corvo, you're playing like most of my other players in other campaigns where it's like, nah, we'll just use one contact and throw everything we earned before at this one contact.
Oh, I've still got a whole bunch of influence left. Because I didn't use any last time.
How many doses you want?
Look, if we could get 3 out of it, potentially, but I'd like them wired or cooked so that they're, like each dose is running close to its max impact. Look, nothing for nothing, and in fairness, if this gets leaked anywhere, you're going to be the only person who knows it, so I will come looking for you. What I'm going to be doing is putting it into the salival injectors that I've got in my jaw. So I need it to be as, what's the word I'm looking for? As impactful as possible with as small a dose as I can get away with. So I don't have
Mr.
to be
Corvo,
refilling them.
I can tell you're a man of business. I'll make sure it's P4, 3 doses. I'll also throw in something special just for you.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to us potentially doing a lot more business in the future.
Yes, I like you much better than that gang member.
Well, let's keep it that way.
And with that, Chuckles signs off. All right, Corvo, in the nearest future, you're going to get a package with 3 doses of what's labeled Friendly Neighbor, is his signature move, and a 3rd dose of something. He says there's a little note with it that says, from one of my friend doctors. It's called Blood God. I'll send over the description of what those do before next session. Don't you worry.
Fabulous.
Okay. Oaken, you get a call back from your government contact. What's her name?
Ruby.
Ruby. You get a call back from Ruby.
Okay. Hi, Ruby. Oh my gosh, that was so quick.
Well, when you've been at this line of work for as long as I have, running through government or really boring documentation is rather normal.
Wonderful.
Okay, so Oaken, I can't say that there is really know any secret identities or anything like that. However, I can say there's at least 4 individuals on here,
Okay.
who I suspect are not who they say they are.
Could you discreetly send that over to me?
Yes, I'll send over the information. My guess is they're somehow tied up in some sort of security apparatus, perhaps on-train security undercover, something to that effect. Very common for these sort of transport
Yep.
things. So,
They might just
I'll
be the
s-
people I'm looking for, so that's awesome.
Well, I'll send that over to you.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Hey, you need anything with rodents? Let me know.
Well, while you're on the subject matter,
Yes.
there's a person named Giorgio. Gonna blank on the last name here. There's a person named Giorgio Pampopoulos. He's Greek, politician. If he doesn't get off that train alive, there could be something in it for you.
Okay.
Have a good day, Oaken.
Thank you, Ruby. Have a good day.
Okay. Anybody? Oh, so the names on the manifest, they're all pretty generic names. 2 are assigned to suite number. Hold on. Let me get the name correct. Yeah. To suite number 7. There are 3 people assigned to suite number 7. One of them being Harper Kane. The 2 others are names that have been identified as possibly not real. The other 2 is one in each of the 2 passenger cars. I could make up some silly names for you, but we're gonna save my brain some on the fly exercise.
Appreciate that. I'm gonna tell my cohorts about this and say I think we have a good idea where these people are gonna be. Also, I will scope out the manifest to find Giorgio to see if I can get to him.
Okay, yeah, on the manifest, Giorgio is in cabin 16 in the cabin car.
Okay.
Giorgio is also there with who you assume is his wife, because it's sharing a same last name as well.
Wife, girlfriend, whatever.
All right. Anyone else? Contacts?
I've got one if
Okay.
nobody else wants to go.
I know Oaken's waiting to hear back from her Scion contact, but she's not sure how long that might take.
All right. In that case, I will. I'm going to reach out to Herman Yondo, who is the contact that I have in law enforcement, cybercrimes
yeah.
unit. Yep, Captain Yondo. Level 2 contact.
Wyvern, it has been a while.
Herman, I wish I could
Staying
say
out
it
of
was
trouble?
good to hear your voice. Trouble. You know, trouble follows me around wherever I go. It's inevitable. Kind of like
I think you have that a bit turned around there, Wyvern.
Maybe. it flows both ways. That's the funny thing about trouble.
That's true. That's true. Well, regardless, I don't want to know about it. Otherwise, I'd probably have to come after you again, Wyvern.
Yeah,
What can I help you with?
You'd have to arrest me again, and that just, well, we know how it ended the first time. Let's just put it that way. Not well for either of us.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I've got a proposition. I've got a little bit of an opportunity to do something good for the world, as you know, is my long-time motivation and goal. Trying to make a world a better place for us all. And I think you could help me out. There is, well, let's just say before I divulge any of the information, 100% discretion. As you know, we both have plenty of dirt on each other to put each other away for a long, long time. Usually I wouldn't even mention it, but I'm mentioning it.
Yeah. Well, okay. How about you spare me as much of the details so I can, you know, innocent,
of course,
ignorance, and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you've probably heard, given your line of work and your current position in the unit, about the kerfuffle over at the Grossheisen Tower. The major botch job that Neo Codex did with their security, blah blah blah. I mean, it's all over the networks.
Yeah, I've heard something about it.
Well, they also happen to be the prime security contractor for a little, I don't know, luxury train sort of operation, sort of a minor operation, really. But
again, Wyvern, skim on the details.
Got you. I'm looking for the opportunity to get in a third-party security auditing team to take a look at the Neo Codex security protocols that have been implemented there. As a normal audit of corporate security, I would like to be embedded into that team. And I would like to be able to get access to that team, to their security network on board this train.
How many dice influence you throwing at that, Wyvern?
Well, seeing that I have 13 of influence.
Got quite a few.
I think I'm going to go ahead and throw 10 of them at this.
10. All right, go for it. And let me know once you get done counting. You just let me know what that number is.
Now, of course, I fully remember what you just told Josh about how this works, but just for the folks that are watching in the chat, just reminding folks how influence works.
So every influence you spend is a d6 that you get to roll to the pool. So when you spend 10 of it, and because he's a level 2 contact, he's actually rolling 11 dice. Level 2 contacts roll an extra dice. So he is rolling a prodigious amount of dice. He's basically playing Warhammer tabletop here. Go ahead.
All right, so I am rolling 11 dice.
Yeah, 11 dice.
Okay.
And you're gonna add it all up into one big number and see if it's a success.
I'm gonna need a calculator.
And at this point, it's arguably going to be a success. It's just how egregiously successful it is.
Oh, quite egregiously, I hope. Okay. Bear with me for a minute.
So these are the two strategies to using contact. Have good contacts that you throw several dice at each one, generally get some good information, or you just dump everything on a single one to get that one thing nailed down.
Do I add anything to it, or is it just the dice?
It's at this point just the dice. Okay. If you have a level 3 contact, they get a +2 bonus to the result.
Gotcha.
But
I'm hoping that 40 will cut it.
All right, Wyvern, here's what I'll do. I know a guy over at that police department who was responding to that call, though if my memory serves me right, they got called off by the man. You wouldn't know anything about that, right?
I didn't hear that part of the story, no.
Oh, interesting. Well, anyways, I'll see if he can't make a recommendation over to this luxury train that you're talking about, saying that based on this sort of malfeasance, that perhaps they bring along an auditor to make sure the systems don't cause any major issues for the duration of the ride. From there, I can, I don't know. You got your resume ready, Wyvern?
In a matter of speaking.
Well, I would say get that sharpened up because I'm about to arrest the auditor who would otherwise be showing up, so you need to be next in line.
Noted.
I'll get you hired on, or well, you'll get yourself hired on, but they'll have the vacancy, and you should have a free ticket onto a luxury liner.
Thanks a lot, Herman.
Yeah, no problem. It'll come back around, I'm sure of it.
Without a doubt.
And he hangs up. So, Wyvern, you got a resume to update and spruce up a little bit. For that, can you go ahead and make a civics check for me? As you prepare your resume.
Does anybody know how to write a resume? Anyone? Corvo, you had to write a resume at some point, I'm sure of it. For something?
Oh, no, mate. I didn't
Never?
apply for this job. This job caught me on my way out the window of another one.
Oaken?
Okay, correct me if I'm
Anything?
wrong, but they put sample ones out on the internet all the time. Maybe look at the last guys and beef it up just a little bit and put your name on it.
Wow. Yeah, that's genius.
Alternative to civics, you can do a net diving roll to pull
There we go.
pull somebody's resume and
Yeah,
and,
there we go.
and janky it up. Or
Yeah.
actually, why don't you just do a hacking roll instead of a net diving? You can find the resume easy enough. You just need to, be fraudulent enough to.
Yeah, zhuzh it up a
pass
little bit. Yeah.
Mhm.
16.
16. Okay, one last thing. Can you go ahead and make a guile check for me?
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Get out the
It's gonna go in tandem with your hacking roll.
It's gonna affect my benefits package. Oh, that's cocked. All right. Guile, I have nothing to add to that. That's sad. That's an 8.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Any other contacts? Octavius, is there anybody else you want to reach out to?
I think the first thing Octavius wants to do is look over the passenger list and see who he can identify who both might be able to get close enough to Kane, but also are not so prominent as to be completely untouchable.
For that, I'll have you also make a civics check. You're dealing with the elite of the world and their fanciness, as it were. Is something open?
Yeah, I do. I want to pass it by Octavius. If you recognize one of those 4 that feel out of place, you could get right up in Harper Kane's business. We can take him out before he even gets on the train.
That is an option.
I'm just saying. I mean, just saying.
That was a 12.
A 12. Yes. You find a number of individuals who, most of them were either like gifted a ticket, or like, so they're not quite high society. They got on this train by some other means. So they would be the ones with probably like the most accessibility to like finding them prior, with the least scrutiny if they, disappear from their workplace for a couple of days or something like this prior to departure would kind of go unnoticed. Kind of middling individuals who scored somehow a lucky ticket. Yeah, again, you find an individual who you feel like would be a fairly easy target to steal the identity of. So then it would just be finding a way to tie up this individual so that he misses his train.
Corvo, do you want to help me tie someone up?
How tied up do you need them?
Enough that they won't be able to make their trip.
Oh, I can do that.
All right, so it sounds like Octavius and Corvo are going to go on a little hunting trip prior to the departure to make sure the person is taken care of. Oaken. You receive a callback from your Scion contact.
Got it.
All right, Oaken. There is somebody aboard this train who is late in psionic. They're in a precarious position. So, utilizing them, I just ask, be certain nothing blows back onto them. They could be put in severe jeopardy if it does.
Okay. I will make sure that happens. I have others in this crew that can help cover that up.
I will reach out to them, though I will say likely it would go a long way if there was some fiscal compensation.
Oh, I can make that happen.
Do you have something in the
That'll be
ballpark?
between me and the other friend. I'm not going to pass it through you. Sorry.
I don't want your money.
I understand that, but I also don't want you to get a cut. So
when you interact with them,
yes.
Make sure you have 1,500 crypt.
Okay.
I'll put you in contact.
Thank you.
All right, Oaken.
Yes.
Several moments later, you get a call from somebody named Sven.
Okay. Hello, Sven.
Are you Oaken?
I am.
Yeah, so Ernest put me in contact, said you wanted to talk.
Yeah. So I have a job coming up, and if you can help me, I think we could compensate you, and but I need to know what kind of abilities you have.
My abilities haven't woken yet.
Okay. Mine either, so we share that in common. I need someone on, and this is so you don't get followed, you don't get anything suspicious on you. I just need some other eyes that can send me what's happening in each car. So if you were to be in one of the passenger cars, can you send me the look around, just take a look at everybody, see what's going on? That way I can...
Here's the problem, Oaken.
Okay.
I'm one of the rear conductors.
Oh.
I can't leave my post.
Okay. So then you can help me in another way.
All right.
Can I put you on a brief pause so I can talk to my friends?
Put you on hold.
Yes.
Okay, just none of this can blow back to me.
No, absolutely not. And please enjoy the on hold music.
Which, by the way, if I could request, is Neon Cipher.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Cosmic Abyss. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I think I have a contact that could help us slow down the train. should I go ahead and get that situated? And are you willing to put into the pot?
Yes, and if I was physically there right now, I would give you a hug. This is exactly what we need. Slow the
Okay.
train down, gives us more time. Yes, I'm in.
How much do you need?
Oh yeah, how much?
My contact said a minimum of 1,500. I can put in 1,000,
I'm
and
broke.
okay.
This is my shocked face, Wyvern.
I've seen that face before.
Oh, don't
That's
worry,
also
son.
your-
I'm sure you'll get to see it a lot more by the time we're done on the train.
Mm.
Look,
I can help you out,
I
Oaken.
can cover the 1,500 if we need to, or like use that as a cushion to push further if you need to.
Okay, I'm thinking a cushion because that'll be nice. Because
Yeah,
I
sweeten
can
the
front
deal.
1,000. Okay. Okay, cool. The other thing he's requesting is that it doesn't come back on him. So, do you have any insight on how we can make sure that he's not the one that gets shown that he's the one slowing it down?
Well, I can give him an excuse for slowing it down.
All right, let me contact him back, and he's on hold right now, and see what his ideas come from what we're going to propose. Okay, Sven.
Hi. Yeah. Who was that on the waiting music? That was pretty great.
That was a very highly recommended band by an amazing person. I don't remember the name though. Okay,
All
so
right.
here's the deal. We need the train to go slower through the tunnel.
How much influence are you throwing at this, Oaken? I'm gonna make you throw some influence at this.
Okay. Hold on, let me look. I think I remember having 10 left. Yep. I'm gonna throw 5.
Okay. Go ahead and give it a roll.
Okay. $14.
14. Okay. That's a pretty low for 5, but
Yeah, it is.
we'll go with it. That's a big ask, Oaken. Slowing down the train. That's gonna look a lot like me.
Okay, so what if we gave you a reason to slow down the train?
I don't like the implications of that statement.
It's not me that's going to do it, so it's called plausible deniability is what you're going to have for that.
Can it... Okay. 2,000 crypt. And I prefer it not to be terribly painful.
Oh, we're aiming for not painful. I can do you 2,000, and if you give us enough time, I might give you another 500 crypt.
Well, it depends on what the plausible deniability factor is. What are you thinking? How are you going to force me to slow it?
That's not up to me. I was just offered, and I think that that's what I can offer you.
Also, how will they get to me?
Oh, we've got our ways. You're going to be in the
Okay.
back engine, right?
I'll be in the back engine.
Perfect.
All right.
We'll make
well,
it happen.
If you've got that figured out, then okay.
Great. I will transfer the money as soon as we get out of the train.
Yes, definitely not before.
No. Mm-mm.
And I'm assuming you being a scion, you're not going to cheat me.
Of course not. And I appreciate your candor and help in this situation. Maybe we can train together at Conclave.
Yeah. Just no blowback, okay? I really need this job.
I understand.
All right. Okay. So.
I need to
I'm
relay
going-
that to Corvo
Oh
so
yeah,
that
go
he
ahead,
can...
please.
So Corvo, we're
Yeah?
going my contact's a go, as long as there's a reason to slow down the train.
Oh, there'll definitely be a reason.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Wonderful. He's going to be in the back engine. Is that going to change anything that you have planned?
Not even a little bit.
All right, great. So we've got the train slowed.
Was there anything else I needed to know about the details for your friend in the back of the train?
I'll replay the video of my recording to you so you can see.
So he doesn't want it to hurt, and you agreed to that.
Well, isn't that part of our mission? We don't want to have any casualties.
I feel like you and I might have slightly different definitions for the term casualty. Because for me, a casualty is one that gets counted in a black plastic bag.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently for you, a casualty is someone who needs a band-aid.
No, he just doesn't want a cybernetic anything because we're...
No, it's fine. I can work with this. But...
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna have to go raid the utility cupboard. No, this is fine. I can do this. No, I got
Great.
this.
And then I offered he wanted 2,000, so yours is going to help. And if he slows us down enough, we can even sweeten the pot and give him 500 more.
I'm sure you can give him 500 more. I have to rework my entire.
Nope, just
carry
give me your 1,000, and I can take care of the rest.
I would totally pitch in too, but as I mentioned earlier, I am completely broke. But I love this plan.
Okay.
For the record. But I'm broke, so I can't contribute.
That's okay. Octavius,
We
I know
appreciate your support, Wyvern.
Octavius, I know you're going to have to get some stuff ready. Do you need any help with that? Can I help with anything?
I would happily take more help as long as Corvo, we've got our plan of action, it sounds like.
Well, if you still need me to come along and help.
I don't like to get my hands dirty.
Oh, that's fine. I'll get mine dirty. That's not a problem.
It's just
Actually,
the
what it will
shirt
do?
is
It'll
silk,
give me
and
the
I just
opportunity. It'll give me the opportunity to test out the silencers that the quartermaster's given me. So this is good. Testing your equipment before it's time to use it in the field. Let's go do this, shall we?
All right. So I'll just ask, because we're going to move forward a little bit, because to probably a day or two before execution. That's kind of around the time you want to wrap up the person so they're not missing for too long, but also not right before. Is there any other contacts before then that you want to utilize before just a couple days out from the mission? Any other elements you want to look at?
I would like, I think, just to start by knowing what is the public-facing information available on Harper Kane. What do we know about him?
That's a net diving check. Anyone who
Hey, Wyvern, would you like to help me out? Get
Would
me
you like to be
information
useful?
on Harper Kane?
I would love to help you, Octavius. What would you like me to do?
So, I mean,
info on Harper?
Yeah, I'd love to know what the public knows and get that kind of synthesized in the way I know only you know how. But if you could find anything that could help me get closer to him, something that might make him trust me.
Oh yeah,
I'd love that.
A little bit below the surface of what the public knows. A little dirt is what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I got
Wyvern?
you.
Why don't you start with a net diving check just to see what is out there on Harper Kane.
All right. That's a pretty good roll here, I think. 19.
Wyvern, very little exists on Harper Kane. What you do find is that Harper Kane belongs to something known as the Bryson Kane faction. Bryson Kane was Harper Kane's father. Bryson Kane faction is some sort of elite family sort of grouping, faction as it is, who is very, very secretive. They're not seen as a faction with a ton of power per se, but Harper Kane is virtually an unknown quantity. So for taking over as CEO of Neo Codex, this Harper Kane is not, wouldn't strike you as the first pick.
Nothing about his background or his education or anything is just sort of a...
The Bryson Kane faction is very tight on the public-facing information side of things.
Gotcha.
Would you like to jump onto the dark web and explore things, or cool? What are you searching for on the dark web? Still Harper Kane?
Yeah. You
can treat me a little bit like Chat GPT. You can throw out some of your kind of things you're interested in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm interested. First of all, would I think, knowing the dark web and what I just learned, would I think that there is additional information on him, or would I think that maybe it would be a better idea to focus on a different aspect of the Bryson Kane faction?
Both could be useful. Bryson Kane, who is Bryson Kane, his father, what is the faction, and yes, going, like, certainly if they do have some amount of money, which assumingly they do, possibly they're just really good at covering the public facing information, but maybe under the surface there's more information available.
This person exists, there must be some sort of information, Octavius. There's
Right.
nothing publicly available that I was able to find. Do you want me to try to find something on him specifically? I can go deeper, and I will.
I think it would be good to go deeper. I don't love the fact that he's such an unknown quantity, so let's let him be a little more known.
Agreed.
Wyvern,
right.
I will say, you also don't even find a picture of Harper Kane on public-facing content.
Is there any pictures of his family?
Father
or anybody?
Not on public-facing content.
Wow. That's almost unheard of.
Yeah, that's quite a task to keep totally aloof.
They've got some serious scrubbers at work. A team of scrubs. I don't want no scrub. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and roll this up. We're going deep. I would have preferred to go a little bit deeper. That's an 11.
11?
Yeah.
You want to edge?
Yeah. I'm always down for some edge. Here we go. Ooh, all right. So 4 more. What did I say that was?
Hey,
That was,
that's 15.
11, 15. Yep.
That is the result you were looking for, my friend. Okay.
Hello.
Bryson Kane faction, again named after Harper Kane's father. Bryson Kane was a high-ranking exec in the now defunct megacorporation Tharson Technologies. Tharson Technologies went defunct shortly after, this would have been almost 100 years ago, shortly after the Great Reset, or when the Omnicore had its huge malfunction. and was sealed into the black side of Black Everest. Tharson Technologies, essentially, nobody really knows what happened to Tharson Technologies, but essentially, following Tharson Technologies' mandated shutdown, it broke into multiple different Tharson Technology divisions as smaller subsection corporations. And what started was what was known as the acquisition wars, in which mega corporations used their personal militaries to acquire Tharson Technologies, who was the leader in military technology of the time. So, Bryson Kane faction is the family, essentially the family wealth of Bryson Kane, who is no longer alive. You do come across records that he passed. Though again, zero, even in the dark web, you have not found a single image of either of these individuals. Which is also not terribly surprising, knowing that at some point this came out of Tharson Technologies, which was known for being extremely secretive, violating a lot of international standards, and who eventually went defunct and had a lot of military technology across the gambit, including Omni-N military technology as well. So Harper Kane, whoever he is, little information, but you know he's tied to Bryson Kane, to the now defunct Tharson Technologies, though Harper Kane, based on what you can tell, would have likely not been alive at the time of dissolution.
Okay. I will relay all of that to the team. We're dealing with something serious with this Kane character. It makes me want to just reiterate again that we should probably make sure that we don't harm this guy irreparably, because it could be real bad, not just for us, but for the house.
And since we don't have eyes on him, having 3 people in that suite is going to be rough to know who we need to get rid of and who we need to have fun with.
It is very clear to me that you've never had to work black bag jobs before.
No.
We've got 3 people in the room, one of whom we don't have any photos of. How about we get Vern to do some work for once and get photos of the other 2 people that are going to be in the room? Because then it's just a process of elimination.
Oh, look at you.
Corvo, we can talk respectfully to our colleague Vern,
No,
who has done a tremendous amount of work.
Octavius, I appreciate that, and I also know that this sort of friendly, collegiate banter is Corvo's love language. So I'm feeling the warmth and the appreciation in the subtext of the ribbing that I can continuously get from him. So it's all good. It's all good.
Here's where I stand, Octavius. You and Oaken and even Gideon, even though Gideon's left me with a scar, you're putting your skin on the line. Vern gets to sit in a couch most of the time. So when he gets out on the line, then we might change the way that we talk. But until then, he can do his job, and if he does it well, I'll respect it. And if he doesn't, I'll go after him. So Vern, if you could see if you could do your best to find photos of the other 2 people that are going to be in that room.
I can find photos of everyone that's on that list, and we will have a full photographic dossier of all of the guests, which we can run against facial recognition programming to identify who's not on the list of images. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. Yeah, that's
the other thing that I will say, Oaken, just to get ahead of it in case this occurs to you. If he's taken on some kind of facial masking, well, at least then we've only got a 50-50 shot of who we have. And those are much better odds. I like those odds.
I have an extra ask for Wyvern, and I have an extra ask of Corvo. Corvo, if you really decide that you're just not killing enough people, I have another name to add to the list. Um,
I'm sure I'll get to kill enough. What I'm saying is that when I'm left with a variety of choices to make and a variety of options to complete those choices, I like to go for the one that's neatest. And do you
Got
know
it.
what's neatest? The other person involved in the conflict not having anything to say.
got it. Well, just remember cabin 16, okay? Speaking
I will
of,
make it a priority.
thank you. All right, and speaking of, Wyvern, I need a headshot of the 2 that are on the list for cabin 16.
Yeah. That should be pretty straightforward.
Perfect.
Perfectly straightforward. Yeah. Wyvern, you actually do have the headshots of everybody on that list. Through your previous hacking job, it was pretty easy to pull that, except for Harper Kane, no photo, redacted, and those 4 names, including the 2 in his area, no photo, redacted.
Mm-hmm. So there's 4 faceless wonders, and we're gonna have
go
to do
ahead.
an eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Go ahead and make a net diving check for me,
Gladly.
Wyvern.
There we go. 19.
19. Redaction of the photos, you can trace to an Apex security signature.
That makes sense.
So, Octavius and Corvo will be finding Octavius's means to get onto that train. Wyvern likewise will be getting on at the very beginning as a auditor of the security software. Oaken, Corvo, and Gideon will be taking the hovercraft at high speed, jumping from it onto the roof of the bullet train and making their way inside. Good old heist style, which I'm sure Gideon would have in no other way. If just to speak for him, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I feel like that is absolutely the way he wants to enter the train. That's the current plan.
Can I add a twist?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I bring a backpack with nicer clothes in it?
That is, you're asking a lot, Oaken. I don't think I could. Yeah, of course you can get nice clothes and bring a backpack full of it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
I have
Just
a backpack.
Some
to get
undercover work of your own.
To get some selfies on the train.
You know it.
Because Gideon is predisposed at the moment, he has been debriefed, and he reached out to a contact, and he sends you through a photograph, although albeit somewhat messed up photograph, of the 4 Apex security officers you guys are hunting down. The first is of Crucible. Crucible, you have no facial recognition of Crucible, but you have him in what looks to be mid-weight armor on the battlefield, and he is wielding what looks to be a katana. Looks to be fairly modified. Does anybody want to make a medicine check for me? Medicine or technicianing?
Here's a second.
Both are intelligence, so if you have
Yeah,
neither...
I'll give you a medical check.
Okay, cool.
I'll do a. What was the other one?
Technicianing.
I'll do a
technician.
technician check. Yeah, I'll do technician.
I got a 12 on my medical check.
12, okay. And Wyvern?
15.
15. Wyvern, you can definitely tell at least part of Crucible's right arm is cybernetic. and likely portions of his head. Corvo, you can tell that Crucible's legs don't look quite right, and that to you speaks of genetic mutation. He has likely genetically modified his legs for optimal combat.
Yeah, that's right.
Second is of Weaver. Actually, this isn't an image of Weaver. This is an image of Weaver's favorite drones. Two of them are small arachnid drones, capable of climbing up and down or across ceilings and walls, and both equipped with silenced SMGs. The third one is a larger dog-size quadruped drone. You can't tell what it's equipped with, but this certainly looks more armored and ready for combat. The next image of Volterra is a guy with a tactical shield, a flamethrower in one hand, and in the same arm that the tactical shield is mounted onto his armor is a arc thrower. So basically an electric flamethrower. This guy is definitely the guy who breaches security parameters. Yeah, not subtle. Yeah. And a flamethrower and electric arc thrower on a train is not good for reducing casualties. The final image. Oh, yep.
I was just gonna say, what was the penalty on dead civilians again?
500 per dead civilian. Reduced from your overall take-home. So depending on what your take-home is, you could end up maybe having to pay the client if you really aren't careful.
We could go into the red on this thing.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
However, I mean, if you're gonna be that bloody, assuming you get all four, that's 6,000. So you're at least, you can definitely have, close to
12.
That's gonna. Yeah, 12
That's a dozen
civilian casualties. Yeah,
and how
so
many
I mean,
people are, what's the manifest say in terms of how many passengers there are?
there's a lot.
Yeah, way too many.
Yeah, more than 12.
And
Yeah,
we are possibly for sure getting one hit in there, so I can take the less 500 if it's successful.
You mean on Sven?
On Giorgio Pampalus.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's a civilian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a civilian, and his wife is in there too. So if
Joe Pop?
1,500, whatever. We just we should already factor that into the monies, if you will.
Yeah. I would totally be willing to contribute that up front to cover the cost, but as I mentioned earlier, I am dead broke right now.
No, I thought Corvo was going to take care of it for me, but I will take the hit on the money if it gets done.
Yeah. Massage coaches don't pay for themselves, unfortunately. Right, Wyvern?
That's your expertise.
The final image is of a tidy-looking Asian businessman.
Fucking Bishop.
And those are your 4 images of the Apex Security, brought to you by Gideon.
Thank you, Gideon.
Thank you, Gideon.
What a guy.
All right. Now if there's no other contacts, no other snooping preparing, again, I'll remind all of our viewership, this is the prep mission. Next Wednesday, we start there on the train. It's go time. So it's all action. It's all pulling off the mission from there on out. So, Corvo and Octavius, I think you have a rendezvous with a stranger who doesn't want to rendezvous with you but has no idea it's coming.
We certainly do.
A rendezvous with a stranger in a dark room.
So Octavius, I'm assuming this is playing out with you being the lure and Corvo being the wrapping up part of the equation. So, how do you create the situation to get him where you need to?
I think that Octavius would start by trying to scope out what a day in this person's life looks like the day before and figure out the best place to ambush him. Because the home could be way too direct. So, where does he go? Where might be a place where a conversation could be struck up?
Can I have you make a stealth check, and by that, you can also make a guile check because of your ability.
I would love to.
What was it?
That'll be 22.
Oh,
22.
Yeah.
All right, so you follow this guy around. He has no idea that he has a shadow, and you actually identify at one point on his way to and from work. He passes through a small stretch of the slums, and there is a particular van parked behind a derelict chain link fence. You scouted out. It has definitely been vacant, or at least whoever occupies it only occupies it at night. And is likely, probably derelict thrown, to be honest, but that's none of your concern. So this is vacant during the day, so just a quick little maneuver into the van where awaiting Corvo would be all it would take.
Yeah. Then let's get in place. Let's make this happen.
And how are you planning on getting him over to the van? Just like engaging him, and walk me through what that looks like. I'll tell you what rolls to make.
You know what? All I can think right now is the tried and true serial killer move of faking an injury and trying to move a piece of furniture into the van.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead and make a guile check, since you're faking this injury.
That is an 18.
Well, I rolled like crap, so that is a critical success.
Hey!
He is like desperately concerned for you. He's like, "Oh my gosh, buddy!" And he comes running over to you, and he's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Okay, let me help you, and then I'll call, get you medical attention." And he starts pushing and getting your furniture. And this is like, actually, it's rather heavy for him too, but he is like, definitely, you've made him the hero, and you can tell he's a little desperate to be the hero. He lives a lonely life. So he pushes the furniture into the van. Corvo, I think this is where you come in.
Yeah, so as the guy's like straining, he's got all of his weight like pushing down through his legs. At that point, I'm just gonna literally just slip his hands and like lift him using the thunder thighs that I have installed.
Perfect. Can
And
you
I'm
make
gonna,
a lifting check for me?
Yep, let's do that. Why not? That would be solid. That's fine.
I think Thunder Thighs also give you a bonus to that too. You might want to just double check.
They do. Let me double check what it is. Oh yeah. Plus 2, that'll do it.
It's actually +4 because you have 2 of them. They double up.
Even better.
Yeah.
So much.
Thunder Thighs are fun.
That's 25.
All right. Yeah, you vault this guy, like good old slam his head into the roof as well, like just a nice solid thud, and he is like.
So I've got him pinned down by the throat with my right hand, and then just the back of my left forearm splits open, and you see this like barrel lever out of it. At which point he leans down, looks back at Octavius, and says, how much did we need from this guy? What did you need from him?
Well, I'll certainly need his hand. I'll need his eyes. And I'll need
Okay,
his face.
that's good. Right, sir. So here's my question for you. So turning back to this guy, are you or are you not a fan of mechanical replacement for limbs? And another way of asking that question would be front or back.
Oh God, listen, I'll give you any amount of money, like whatever you guys want. What do you want?
And I just squeeze a little bit.
Don't hurt him too much right now, Corvo. I do need one thing from you. I need a ticket. You'll be taking a trip soon, and well, you won't be taking that trip. I will be taking that trip for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can have the train ticket. I mean, my work. I won it through like a lottery. It was gonna be great. I was really looking forward to it. But you can have it if you let me keep my limbs.
I'm
You do
agreeable
realize
to
that we
Corvo.
live in the age of the ability to upgrade your person, almost only limited by your imagination. And you want to
I'm
keep
not
your
very
limbs.
imaginative.
Right. Well, back it is then.
And what are you doing?
So at that point, like, I'd literally just be rolling him over to kneecap him through the back of his legs so that it doesn't damage the joints too much. Here's the thing. I need you to not move for a few days. So we're going to put you somewhere where eventually you'll be able to get medical attention. But you definitely won't be making it to the train.
Gadoosh.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, no, you
sorry.
haven't yet.
My pistol's
Okay.
silenced.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry.
So it's more like...
Yes. And of course, screaming and wailing in the truck in the slums. And he's just a blubbering mess. He's a blubbering mess, but you very easily force the transfer of ticket. And Octavius, he is he's virtually, you can scan his face, eyes, and his very tear-filled eyes, and then his hands. Yeah.
Oh, it's his iris you need, right? It's not actually his face per se.
Well, I also need his face. I need to look like him as well.
And pull out a cloth out of like my back pocket and like scrub his face off. Stop. You stop, or I promise it's going to get worse.
Sorry. All right.
So,
And then you
got
say
your
you're
ticket?
dumping him. Yeah, he got the ticket.
Well, we're going to put him somewhere that's like out of the way enough. Like I'll med pack his legs so that he doesn't bleed to death because
Sure.
I am like a battlefield medic. And then we'll put him somewhere with like a burner phone that is set to auto dial for like medical services in like an hour after the train leaves.
You can just set that up in the overlay. There are no more phones. You just like boop boop boop.
Yeah, so
like a
that's
timer on, like, an
literally what we're going to
emergency
do. Is
call.
like just literally
Right.
have it so that it's tagged to him in his location, and it's set to go off an hour after the train leaves. So that like he's gonna be uncomfortable, but they won't be able to stop the train after it's left, and he will be on it.
Right. Well, very good. We've got the guys. Octavius is ready to go in as this poor lot, and Wyvern's ready to go in. I think we're ready for the mission, y'all.
Okay, just Paul, I have to say one thing, and this is because I am so bad at just doing what I need to do in whatever means necessary. Octavius does leave a card with this poor man, and
Wait, what is this card?
It has Octavius's a way to contact him, and it says, "I owe you a favor."
And probably a couple.
Did Corvo see this? Did Corvo see this?
Octavius, can you make a sleight of hand check if you want
I
to
would
keep
love
it concealed
to.
from Corvo? Corvo, can you make an awareness check? Octavius, also, I'm guessing you now have Magician's Finesse.
Yes.
Okay, make sure you add +3 to it.
That is a 21.
Doesn't really matter what I got. I would have
Yeah.
had to roll 7s on the 3 dice that I had.
Yeah. So Octavius, like literally in front of Corvo, you hit your card into this poor guy's breast pocket. Pat it as he's just kind of there and miserable. And you head out. And I'll say, like, Corvo in general, he patched up the legs, but like just enough. It certainly isn't. It is just to stop this guy from bleeding out. He's otherwise in pretty excruciating pain. Okay.
I'm not going to carry
Perfect.
drugs around, am I?
So here we are. We are about to partake in the high noon on the Silk Road. So stay tuned. Thank you everybody for joining us. What an amazing session, you guys. Great job sleuthing it out, reaching out to your contacts, figuring out the details. I really look forward to seeing how this all plays out on the high-speed rail. And yes, your homework for all those watching, for all those in the stream, your homework, if you have not seen the movie Bullet Train, definitely should give that a watch before we launch mission, and hopefully it goes a little bit better than that. Great. Well, thanks everybody. Yeah, any closing remarks, guys, before we signal out?
Yeah, let's do the thing. Let's go around the table and have people shoot out their links and projects. If you want to plug stuff, please do. That's the opportunity here. Let people know where they can find you. Paul, let's start with you, sir.
Yeah, Paul Penburrow, and online on Instagram, on Discord. You can find me through the House of Eidolons website. Come join our Discord over there, or join Guild Superior's Discord if you're not already on there. I'm on there and post all the time.
Yeah, we have
we
have an Eidolons, a specific Eidolons community chat channel over there. So if you're enjoying the game and you want to get in on some of the banter and in between mission sort of updates, that's a great spot for you to jump in and see what's going on and be part of our community. Thanks, Paul. Really appreciate you running this game and bringing your creativity to Guild Superior. This has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. Let's jump to Tara next.
What's up, everybody? I am your Nomi or your Nomi 2 on any social that you may be out there for, except for X. I just can't. Sorry. You can send me a message. Let me know what you think. Give me ideas. I don't care. Just hit me up any way you can.
Great to have you, Tara. Thank you so much for being here. Oaken is freaking awesome, and I can't wait to see
George Michael.
George Michael in action. Yeah, George Michael's gonna be awesome. So good. Let's go next to Josh.
Hey, I'm Josh. I've been playing Corvo in our game tonight. I'm less casually violent than Corvo is.
Probably a good thing,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge geek. Other than that, like, I've been lucky enough to be joining Guild Superior for some of our games, and I look forward to joining more, and I look forward to next week and just counting down the minutes until Corvo gets to do what he does best, which is not sneak around with somebody else's face on.
Amazing.
But he's coming stocked and prepared, so like, just you wait.
Josh plays a calculating murderer so well, but I know for a fact that he is a loving, wonderful person in real life. So we appreciate you stretching those thespian inclinations and really bringing it, because you definitely are bringing it, and I love it. Thank you so much, Josh, for being here. Let's jump finally over to JD. JD, it's so great to have you in this game as well. You're bringing a lot to the plot and the mission with this the guile and just the guys, and it's amazing. Where can people find your stuff?
Thank you so much, Dave. You can find me on the internet at JD Not Jason Dean. I'm mostly over on Blue Sky these days, given everything that's going on. You can also find me most often over with Live from the Apocalypse. We are a not-for-profit TTRPG studio, and we fundraise all year round for a variety of good causes and aid organizations. So I'm delighted to be here. This game is great, and I can't wait to do a train heist.
Going to be so good. I want to make sure that we give a quick shout out to our producer Gunvald, also a Josh, also a big person in the reel. That's how they make Joshes, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, they demand that you look up to them in multiple ways. So Josh, thank you so much for pushing the buttons and turning the knobs that make everything look and sound good on the back end. We appreciate you very much. And also appreciate your contributions to creating this House of Eidolons game. Wow, it's freaking awesome. I'm loving every minute of it. I want to remind folks that we have a bunch of great programming. If you want to get plugged in on what that is, check out our social media stuff. I think we're on Instagram still. We haven't given up on that yet, although it's meta. And we're on Blue Sky. I've been informed. I don't know who's posting there, but they're doing a nice job. And our primary social sort of outlet is our Discord. So if you guys want to connect with us and hang out and get to know us, get in some games, we've got community games going on. I'm going to put the link to our Discord. Great group of people. All the folks here on the screen that you see, and a lot of the folks that you see in other games are there. And it's just a nice place to hang out and talk about games and other goofy stuff and post a bunch of GIFs. Lots of GIFs. I'm always looking forward to my morning coffee gifts. It gets me fired up for the day. And then really quick, a plug for the American Red Cross. We do have a link in the chat right now. If you have the means to donate to American Red Cross, they've mobilized a pretty substantial relief effort in Southern California to help people who are being affected and displaced by the fires that have been raging down there. So please, if you can, donate $5-10. If not, if you can't, that's totally cool. Maybe you can just help raise awareness, share the link, let people know that there's a need to help other people who are going through a rough time. I think we're going to see more of that. We're going to need more of this, the stuff that JD and Live from the Apocalypse does. The fundraising effort, the mobilization, being heroic, not just at the gaming table, but in real life. That's kind of what we're all about. So please try to do that if you can. And we are going to go ahead and raid into some folks here. I'm going to find a raid target. Let's show them some good old-fashioned Guild Superior love. And we'll see you next Tuesday for some Call of Cthulhu. And then we'll be back here Wednesday for the Great Train Heist on the Silk Road.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, take care.